guys, Jungle Explorer here, coming back at you with another trail camera review. This one from the Olymbros company. We got the T3 trail camera here. It's a 16 megapixel trail cam with all your standard features on it. Let's break it out of the box and see what it looks like. Alright, see if I can get this box open first. So I've never done a review for the Olymbros company. This is the first time that they've sent me one. So hopefully they're producing a quality product. That's what we're going to do here, is a review, not a promotion. You know me, I only do reviews. I put the evidence out there and let you make the decision. So first off, just looking at it, this is some pretty good real oak design here. I like the color. The external of it is real nice. It's got your belt connections back here. It looks like it's got made where you could take some screws and screw them in, and you could just like mount it to the wall, kind of like a fire alarm would mount. It doesn't actually come with any screws that I can see. Got your manual, got your little nylon strap here, and your data cord here. So that looks good. Let's go ahead and open it up. Got double side latches on it here. Pretty easy to get those. They feel pretty substantial. They're not rinky-dink there. Okay, let's look at your battery compartment. Pull that out. That's not too hard to get out. That's pretty easy. So again, 8 AA's. Go ahead and slide some batteries in here. It's not too hard to get the batteries in. Just kind of got to get them in a sequence here. Could be easier, but not too incredibly difficult. Okay, batteries in. Pull the screen tape. And here's a little side button to fire it on. Okay, so no memory card. Let's see their memory card. Oh, I like full-size memory card or SD card. So, you know, a lot of people have been commenting on my videos on the cameras that have the little micro SD cards. And, you know, they're obviously very good as far as a card, but they're hard to handle, especially out in the field. One guy commented on one of my videos saying that he had lost 2 of those in the field because he had a hard time getting out and they fell down in deep grass and he couldn't find them again. So he said he would never buy another camera that used the micro SD cards. Well, if you're having that problem with the micro SD cards, here's a little suggestion. You might take a piece of tape, like Scotch tape, and put it on the micro SD card. Kind of make a pull handle for it so you don't lose that. But I do like this uses a full-size SD card, which is a lot easier to handle in the field, and it comes off the side. A lot of cameras that I've been doing tests on, the SD card's mounted in the bottom, and so in the field, if you don't want to take it off the tree, you got to get down on your knees and you're working up here. This one's on the side, so when you open the camera, you can just get it right out. That's actually a good design. I like that design very much. So it has a TV out right here. This is evidently to be able to connect a audio video cord to it, which it did not come in the box with, and maybe play it on an external monitor. It does have a nice little screen there. See, it turned off. Okay. Has a menu button here. Okay, so I wasn't putting it in the right mode. Move this to level 3 for your menu mode, and then we can go ahead and through and use these here. You can figure all that out. I ain't going to waste your time there. So it's got a nice little screen on it. I am going to put an SD card in this. I've got a lot of deer coming to my feeder right now, so I'll put it out in the field for a couple weeks and get some footage of the deer, and you know, as always, I'll show you the samples, the pictures, the images, you know, the video, and tell you what I think about it at the end of the test. And if I'll do all the standard stuff that I normally do to give you a good idea how good this camera is. I do like the outside of it and how it looks, so hopefully it's going to be a great camera. But we will let the pictures and the video do the talking. after the end of 2 weeks. So for you, it'll just be a second, but for me, it'll be 2 weeks. All right, I'm back now, and it's been actually a month and a half. I had some things come up and couldn't do the video at the 2 week interval, so it's been a little bit longer, but that's okay because it's given me a lot more material to judge the camera by and give you more samples by. And I've had a lot of traffic at my feeder during this period of time and been able to really get a lot of data on the camera. Because you know me, I'm not all about looks, I'm about actual functionality, and that's why I do these more intensive reviews. You know, a lot of people, they'll just show you pictures and things, but I want to give you just a little bit extra on the technical side so that you can make a judgment whether the camera is right for you. So let's start talking about how it did. Alright, so the technical stats right up front here. A month and a half in the field, it took 2,564 total files. Now I had it set to take 3 images and 1 10-second video for each actuation, okay? The ending files were, like I said, 2,564 total files. 1,962 of those were image files and 601 were video files. Now, that's not an exact balance because 3 times 6 is 18, so that means there should be about 1,803 image files because it was set to take 3 images and 1 video. So it failed to take some videos some of the time. I haven't been able to really go through because there's a lot of stuff to go through and see exactly why that happened, but I'm just letting you know that it did fail in that respect, okay, that it didn't actually take a video for every time that it took 3 images, and I'll have to do some more research to see why that actually did, but I will say this, that the images and the videos that it did take were actually very good quality stuff. So there's a little technical thing there, not sure what it is and what caused it. So, alright, now the total file size for all of the files put together was, after, you know, this is 2,564 files, the total file size was 10.9 gigabytes of data. Okay, so that's actually not bad. And this is very unique. This camera actually is very unique from all the other cameras that I've done this year. You know, if you go through my go to my channel and look through, you're going to see that I've done quite a few game cameras or trail cameras this year, and this really has something unique that was not present in those other ones. Okay, so let me tell you what that is. This is actually taking real pictures. I'm not sure of the correct terminology, so let me explain to you what I'm talking about. On all the other cameras, when you had an image, whether it was daytime or nighttime, the image file was essentially the same size. So if it was 1.5 megabytes per image file, all the files were 1.5 megabytes. The video files pretty much all came out. So if it was a 10-second video and it was an 18 megabytes video, so that was 1.8 megabytes per second, all the videos would be the exact same size. Now the reason that happens is because when you have a lower quality format, it's just basically a box, a container. Think of like a shipping container, a box that you like you get from Amazon.com. All right, it could have something that fills it all the way up, or it could have something little. Like, I've ordered some crazy stuff where it was about that big and it came a box this big. So the container is not representative of the size of the actual stuff. But when it comes to digital formatting, sometimes certain lower quality algorithms, they just allocate a container size for an image or video, and then they stuff that stuff in there, whether it actually takes up all the space or not. So this one doesn't do that. There was a huge variable on the image sizes. So the image sizes range from 1 megabytes to 3.2 megabytes. Okay, what that's saying is, images, not all images are really the same size, and that's why I said real images. They're not all really the same size. What determines how much data a picture takes is how much diversity of color and contrast and objects in the pictures. For instance, take this tablecloth here. It's got a lot of contrast and different structure to it. Now, if it was a plain white tablecloth, the image would be a lot lower because there's not so much things to basically paint. It doesn't take as much work, so it uses up less data. So this one right here, the nighttime images were a little around 1 megabyte because there's not a whole lot of data there. It's just basically black and white. But the more light became available, especially the bright noontime pictures the camera took, because there's a lot more color and a lot more contrast and a lot more detail, those were up around 3.2 megabytes per picture. So it's actually not just using a container, it's building the container based on the size of the image. So it's not using a standard container. That's very different in this camera from the other cameras. All the other cameras that I have tested really just use a standardized container for images and videos. This one actually built the container, the box, the size of the actual data. And that's kind of unique. And that actually makes it more efficient on size because sometimes it doesn't need as much. So it just makes a 1 megabyte file. And sometimes it needs more, so it makes a bigger file. And that makes sure that you're getting maximum quality. So that's actually, I would say, a superior writing algorithm. The software on this is better than the other ones that I've used. Okay? Sorry for the technical stuff there, but you got to understand it is different. The video, same exact thing. Now this was huge because the videos, I took the 10-second videos and I divided it by the sizes, and I started with the biggest one, which was over 40 megabytes for a 10-second video, all the way to the least one, which was 8 megabytes for the same 10-second video. Now, the one obviously was at night. The 8 megabyte one was at night, and the 40 megabyte was in the bright daylight. Okay? And so again, what we're seeing there is that it's actually creating the container for the file based on the size of the data it needs to store. So we had per second video files, not the 10 seconds, but the per second, from 0.8 megabytes to 4 megabytes per second of video. That is really good. I'm very, very impressed. So this is a totally different software than I've been seeing in the other cameras, and that is actually impressive to me. Okay, battery life. Well, a month and a half in the field, 2,564 images. Files. That's videos and images. The batteries went in at 1.62 volts and came out at 1.41 volts. Okay. Now that is a pretty big droppage, but it is actually a lot of files, and some of them those video files are quite large, 40 megabytes. So I'm going to say it's fairly efficient on battery. I expected the batteries to be a lot lower than that, actually. Just looking at the quality of the images and the video, these are some pretty good stuff here, all right? So, now I've told you the technical specs there. Okay, so now let's talk about images and videos. Now there's a thing with this camera that is not my preference, but the last 3 cameras that I've gotten to do reviews on have been what I would call narrow angle cameras, and I'm not real happy about that. And I was really sad when I saw that this was a narrow angle camera. Now let me temper that by saying that's not that there's anything wrong with the camera. It's just that the manufacturer has decided to shoot a narrow angle instead of a wide angle, and that is very useful if in the right application, what you want it for. And so what they're trying to do is really get you closer in on the animal. And that is, in some cases, is going to be very beneficial for you. And you might want that. For me, for my purposes, it actually is not beneficial because I'm using it to monitor a feeder. And I like that wide angle because I want to catch things all the way around, not just right at the feeder. In this case, it shoots right at the feeder. So let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. So first I'm going to throw up this image right here of the feeder, okay? And so you see it there. And this is a bright day shot. So also it's just a bright noon shot, and it shows it's really good quality, all right? Now, I had another camera running side by side with this, which is my Campark T45 Trail Cam. And so you can see them there on screen. They're side by side. So they're shooting at the same exact thing at the same exact distance. So now I'm going to throw that image up of a bright daytime picture, all right? Okay, you see
how much wider you're seeing more things. Now, I'm going to throw them up side by side here so that you can see them side by side and you can see, well, how they look. Now I'm going to overlay the Olymbros picture on top of the CamPart picture so you can see exactly what area it's covering. Alright, so now you see that right there? It's really covering a very small angle and it's missing out on a whole lot. Now, depending on what you want, that could be a good thing for your usage. For me, I prefer the more wide angle. There's nothing wrong with the camera, it's the way it's designed, and you have to decide whether that's what you want or whether you'd want wide angle. Now, I've gone through the settings and there's no way to change it from narrow to wide. That's actually the lens that's doing that, not the software. Because it is taking pretty good pictures at that narrow angle, and it is closer up, so in some cases it actually is pretty neat. Okay, alright, so now let's throw some pictures up there of what the camera's doing. So let me choose a picture here. This is a late afternoon picture, okay, just before dark, and there's a bunch of deer underneath the feeder there, and it's a very good picture for that low light. I'm very impressed with the quality of the image here. Now let me shoot another one. This is a morning time picture, and as you can see, just the color balance, the detail, it's really good. Alright, I mean, I've already shown you the bright daytime one. Let's put up a nighttime picture. There's some deer underneath the feeder there, and you can see right in the center, it's really good. The light is really bright right down the center, and that's about 30-40 feet away. That deer at the far back there is about 40 feet away, so you know, it's really casting out there, and you're getting that much clearer picture because of that zoomed-in lens. I had some pigs come during a rainstorm, so it's kind of foggy, and they were underneath the feeder there. There's quite a few deer on another night underneath the feeder. So we can see that it takes some really good images. You know, there's very, very good images, nighttime, daytime. The quality of image is really exceptional on this camera, and I really do like that. Okay, so now let's do some videos, and let me show you this. Here's a pig I'm going to throw up there, and this does capture audio, except that animals don't make a whole lot of noise, so there is audio there, but you don't hear anything. It's not really exceptional audio, but it does capture audio. So you see that pig there that's eating on my self feeder. Okay, here's the deer walking around at night in the feeder there, and let's see. This is the morning time video, and just nighttime video, daytime video. The camera really does take good quality. Here's another video of the afternoon, so there's the different times of the day. The camera does take pretty good quality video. Now, I want to talk one thing about the video because some people have commented and they're having trouble with the video, and I have trouble with the videos too. Sometimes the videos don't play very well, and sometimes they're sped up. And what that has to do is not the actual video itself, it has to do with the AVI format. I did some pretty good research, or I did quite a bit of research on why these trail cameras use AVI format instead of the more modern MP4 format. And it all has to do with the hardware. It takes a lot more processor power to encode to MP4. And AVI is a much more simpler format. It's a very simple container. And for some reason, on the trail cams, and this has happened on every trail cam that I've tested this year, that there's always appears to be something wrong with the video, where it runs too fast, it's laggy, it stops halfway through, the deer are running around like little ants real fast, and there's always been something wrong. And it actually, I have discovered, it's not the video itself. It is that the container, the AVI format, or the container, is not telling the video player, whether you use Windows Media Player or Windows Pictures and Photo Videos or VLC player. The container is not instructing the player. It's not giving the right instructions to it how to play it. I can take and convert that video from AVI to MP4, and it plays just fine. So the video, all the video data information is there but the player's not reading the instructions on how to play it correctly. But I did find out that if you will use the Apple QuickTime player to play your AVI files, they will play much better and much smoother. And I'm not sure why. I just went through various players trying to see which one could handle it, and I came to the Apple QuickTime player, which is most people do not use nowadays, but it actually plays the files very well, very smoothly. There's none of the problems that I'm having with VLC and Windows Media Player and stuff like that. So that's just a little tidbit. If you're having trouble playing the AVI files out of your trail cams, try playing them in the Apple QuickTime player and see if that doesn't help, if they don't improve. Okay? Alright, so I'm going to address consistency of detection here. Because, as I've shown you, it's a narrow angle camera that actually shoots a narrow angle, that causes more false positive. And you know, if you watch my other videos, when I say false positive, that means it took a picture and there were no animals in the picture. But the thing is I have the area around my feeder, that whole area is mowed down, so I really have very few false detections where I have no pictures, so most of my cameras do well. But in this case, the false detection is caused by just really capturing such a narrow angle. And so sometimes you just catch a bit and a piece of an animal, like I'll throw some pictures as I'm talking, and you'll see I'll have a head or a butt or a back or just a corner of an animal in there that's not in the center. And that's why I got quite a few pictures with nothing in them, because the sensor is wider than the angle of the view of the lens. So the lens is capturing an area like this, but the sensor is detecting an area like this. So what happens is an animal out here, it detects it, and before it gets into the field of vision, it takes the picture. And so I ended up with a lot of partial animal pictures of little pieces of an animal at some point in time in the screen, or somewhere located in the screen. Now, you know, like I said, that's just a side effect of the narrow angle. It's not a defect. It's just the way the sensor is not nearly as precise as the lens, and that's what's causing that. So, nothing to be, you know, terribly discouraged about, but just something I'm just going to note for you because that's what I do. All right, so there's one final thing that I want to address here. It's not really a major issue. You just have to. I just want to let you know about it. There's something different about this camera that is not the same with all the other cameras, and that is the tripod mount screw. In every other camera that I've ever owned, this tripod mount screw, which some have and some don't have, was on the back side of the case. Now, you might be thinking, what does that matter? Well, I actually ran into a little bit of complication in the field because this one is mounted on the door. Now, it has an advantage and a disadvantage this way. So, what it is if you mount to the tripod, and say you have it mounted to a tree with a tripod style bracket, or let's say you're using it as a security camera and you have it mounted to a wall, if it's connected to the front, let me just go ahead and take this clip out, the front stays stable and the back opens. So if you're next to a wall, you can't open it. All right. So if you're, now if it's mounted with a strap, that's not a problem. The front moves out. Okay. But if it's mounted with the tripod screw and there's something behind it, okay, like a tree is right here, you can't open it in the field to get it out without twisting it around like this. All right, so that actually caused, because I do mount it to, as you see in the picture here, I'll show you, here it is mounted. Now I have kind of I had to use one of my longer, like wall mount devices, and I was able to open it up about that far, so I couldn't really see very well in there to get it. Now, I'm going to show you the can part. It has the screw on the back part, and you can see that I can open and lay it flat out there. There's no problem, so it works just fine. So that's just something you need to know about. It just the advantage of it is that because it is a narrow angle, it's hard to hit right where you want, and having that screw there and being able to move the back, you can actually use the LCD screen when you set it up and aim it because the front isn't moving. All right, if you can open the back all the way up. if there's room for that. So it does allow you, because on the Cam Bark I can't do that, because when I open it up, it's mounted like this, and so I can't use that. And when I close it, you know, I can't see that. So it does have an advantage. It does have a disadvantage. I would prefer it be mounted on the back here, so that I can open up in the field and not have to worry about it running into something. But that is something that I just noticed on there. There's your auxiliary power port right there if you want to run it off of a battery backup system. All right, guys, I've shown you all the stats, all the data, and all the image samples and everything. And hopefully you can decide whether this camera is right for you. If you've enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and comment. Don't forget to click the little bell. And remember, I'll throw a link in the description of the video to this product. If you want to check that out, just click on the show more to see that. Also connect with me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, on my social media accounts. They'll be down there too. Until next time, this is the Jungle Explorer signing out.